welcome or welcome back to the channel, and welcome to a vlog that I have been so excited to start since the beginning of the year. Actually, since like last year when I started getting this together. So as you may know, I run a Discord for the channel called Gem's Roadhouse, and it's free to join, anyone can join. And there's a thing that we did last year where people put book recommendations into a cup for me and I read them for vlogs. It was hit and miss, but it was a good time. Like, I had so much fun doing it. But there was a lot of there that was not really something that I wanted to read anymore, because I had basically given people my Goodreads, which was severely out of date. In the kind of vibe of focusing this year on reading books that are already on my shelves, I made a spreadsheet last year of all of the unread books that I had, and I gave it to the Roadhousers and I said, hey, go for it. So they were told they could pick 2 physical books plus 1 Kindle if they wanted to. Everyone just kind of like claimed. It's still open, by the way, so if you're not on the Roadhouse or you've just missed that, you can head on over and add your picks if you want to. And I wrote them all out and I put them in a jar, and I will just lucky dip a book, read it, and I'll do as many as I can in the time frame that I have. I have about a week to read these, so I'm aiming for 4. If I can read more than 4, that'll be a bonus. But I have been super excited ever since I wrote this out, because I know that there's some good picks in here. Like, when I was writing them out, I was like, well, that's a good choice. Oh, that one sounds really good. So now I'm excited. So without further ado, let's pick the first Roadhouser read of 2025. Give it a shake, and then I'll give it a little shuffle as well, just for good measure. And then our first pick is going to be can't get one. So many in there, couldn't get one. It's gonna be this one. Ooh. Okay, you can't see that. It's All You Need Is Kill by Hiroshi Sakurazaka, and that was Ray's pick. And that is fantastic, because one of my goals this year is to read translated book outside of manga, and I didn't have one on my TBR for this month, so this worked out perfectly. Let me get it. All You Need Is Kill. I read the manga of this and loved it, and decided that I really wanted to try the book, so I bought it. When the alien mimics invade, Keiji Kiryu is just one of many recruits shoved into a suit of battle armour, called a jacket, and sent out to kill. Keiji dies on the battlefield, only to be reborn each morning to fight and die again and again. On his 158th iteration, he gets a message from a mysterious ally, the female soldier known as the Full Metal Bitch. Is she the key to Keiji's escape or his final death? I'm so excited. I've been wanting to read this since I got it. I'm going to start this tonight. Great pick. Okay, it's been a couple of days. I'm now halfway through All You Need Is Kill, which is not very impressive, because halfway through is like 90 odd pages or 100 pages. I know I said when we last spoke, oh, I'm going to go read it tonight. I didn't. My editing took me longer than expected, and then I was just really tired, so I ended up going to bed. And then last night I read a little bit, and I'm not really sure what else I did last night, to be honest. I've been very distracted by TikTok over the last couple of days. But I feel like I'm back on track now. So I'm halfway through, like I said, and we'll get it out of the way. This was written in 2004, and it shows. So there is some uncomfortable, not terrible, but just kind of like comments about women. Like, all the women in it have to be described by, you know, how pretty they are and how big their breasts are. So God forbid a woman can be mentioned without referencing her breasts. And then, which seems to be a weird trend at the minute, because I think this has happened in like 2 or 3 books that I've read this month. But once again, the S for gay people was used. I don't know why this is happening. I'm kind of giving the book a pass, because, as I say, it was written in 2004, and those things, you know, just seem to not be worried about in the mainstream. And so it's sadly not unusual for things like this to happen in books of that era, especially ones like this, which are meant to be quite shocking, I feel. This is very focused on soldiers at war. There's a lot of testosterone in one place, and this is what we get. Also, in the early 2000s, everything was very edgy. So, you know, everything was about being edgy and just, you know, dark. And I guess this was fine. Obviously, if this was written now, I'd maybe be a little bit more put off by it. But I'm just kind of trying to take it as a product of the time. And the fact that this is a period of time, a year, where I was alive, it's quite sad to me. It's quite sad to me that in my lifetime, that was still quite common to be said. So I guess it at least shows that although the world is not perfect now, oh my God, in no way is it perfect right now, but although attitudes to queer people are not perfect right now, it at least shows that progress has been made. There is still work to do, there is still progress to be made, but I'm just kind of looking at it and thinking, wow, yeah, do you know what I mean? That was only, what was that? 20 years ago? 20 years ago. Now I'm sad. Putting that aside, I think that this book does an absolutely fantastic job of giving you an idea of what it would be like to be a soldier on the front lines. Now, obviously, this is a fictional war. Obviously, it's fighting aliens. But you have these soldiers who, like our main character, Kyria, has done his like 6 months basic training. And now he goes into his first battle. And everyone's saying, hey, don't worry about it. I'm sure it's going to be fine. Like, just don't lose your head. And it's the most brutal thing. Like, everybody's dying. His first death is so horrendous. And the way it's described, it does not hold back, because it's talking about him losing control of his bodily functions as he's dying. It's talking about like the pain that he's in and everything that he's experiencing. Like, it's really detailed. It's really quite brutal. Like, I'm sure there's more brutal things out there, but for this book, it felt really detailed. It felt really brutal. And then because of those descriptions, because it's being described how awful this battle is and how awful the situation is, knowing that he's just kind of reliving that same battle over and over again and having these different outcomes, and that he dies every time. It's not, well, not every time, I guess, but like pretty much every time he dies, but he always has to go through it all again. And when he starts the next loop, he remembers obviously everything that happened. So although his body's not changing, like he's doing all this extra training and his body's not changing, like his mental state is changing, and he is becoming like an experienced soldier. But to everybody else, he's like straight out of training. This is his first battle, and he's actually been stuck in this loop for like so long. Like, I don't want to be too specific because spoilers, but he's been stuck in this loop for a while at this point. And so up here, he is a seasoned soldier, but like on the outside, he looks exactly the same as he did the day before, when he was like, what do they call it? A greenhorn, I think is what they use, greenhorn. So he's doing all of this extra work to prepare himself mentally, and he's also carrying the memories of watching all the people in his platoon die in different ways. So like each loop, he remembers how, oh, that person died this way, and he almost like takes it personally, like it's somehow his fault. Like, he didn't save them, but he's, you know, not even able to save himself. Yeah. So I think it's doing a really good job on that front. You know, getting his mindset and seeing how his mind, because obviously you're not seeing every loop, right? So we're jumping forward. So we got like the first like 5 loops in fairly good detail, and then it will jump and be like loop, I don't know, 50 or whatever. So there's chunks of time where you don't see it, and you don't see every loop, but it's doing a great job of showing how his demeanor and how his thought process has changed, so you can see that growth. I think it's really well written. I think that yes, there are some, you know, the F slur could have done without it, and the way women are kind of described, I could do without. But overall, I feel like it's, in a way, and it sounds wrong, but in a way it's right for the story that's being told. This is about, I'm assuming that it's set when it was written, which would be 2004, right? So this is set in 2004, and because this war's been going on for 20 years, that means that it would have started in the 1980s. And for 20 years, humanity has been fighting against these aliens. So I feel like a lot of the, I was going to say ideology, but that's not what I mean, the kind of culture and stuff of the 80s, although obviously times would have changed and things, like a lot of it military wise maybe would stick around, because maybe there wouldn't be as much focus on addressing things in the military that needed addressing, like don't ask, don't tell, and things like that. Like, I'm guessing that in the midst of a 20-year war where you need really expensive technology to fight these things, you've got civilians having to be used for quite a lot of military duties off the front line because it's been going on for 20 years, and you know, you're going through soldiers. It's really brutal. You're fighting an enemy that kills a lot more of you than you kill of it. They're not going to be spending time reforming the military, if that makes sense. I hope I'm making sense. I hope what I'm saying is coming across, but it kind of feels like this kind of like, oh, we're men and we fight kind of ideal, and the kind of bro culture, I feel like it's just something that would have maybe been exacerbated because there wouldn't be people looking to make improvements in that area because there've been a war. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. This has turned into a lot longer update than I was planning. So I think it shows that I am enjoying the book. Although obviously I had those few issues, like I am enjoying it because I have a lot to say about it. I think that Kyria is a really great character. I think that something that's just happened, well, I know obviously from the manga, but something that's just happened is kind of going to turn it a little bit, and we're going to, the part of the story, it's a turning point. I'm really tired. It's nearly 1 a.m. I'm so sorry. It's a turning point. So I'm looking forward to reading the rest. I'm hoping to finish it tomorrow because I would like to pick my next book tomorrow, which is Sunday. However, me and Joe are going out for the day, so I might try and take some footage and take you with us. But he asked if we could go and watch the new Dogman movie. So we're going to go out, I think maybe like 11:30, and we're going to get some food, and we're gonna go to Waterstones. I said he could get another Dogman book, and I've got a voucher, so I might try and spend it. I might get some boba, because there's a boba tea place now right near Waterstones, and then we'll go to the cinema and watch the new Dogman movie. So a nice little Jensen mummy date. I'm looking forward to it. So hopefully the next thing you're seeing is some B-roll, because I remember to take it, and if not, it'll be me going, I don't take any B-roll, and telling you about the end of this book. Fingers crossed it's B-roll. It is super late and I'm super tired, but I just finished All You Need Is Kill, so I wanted to tell you about it. But first of all, I want to show you what I got in Waterstones, because I don't really do hauls anymore, so I thought I'd just show you now. So I bought Earthlings by Sayaka Murata, I think it's pronounced. This has been on my radar for a really long time, mainly because people describe it as being really weird. So I bought it. It's about a woman who believes she was an alien as a child. Then when she grows up, she's in like an asexual marriage pretending to be normal. And then something happens and she's looking for her beloved cousin. And I think, although she's been pretending to be normal, she still thinks she's an alien. It sounds really weird. I'm excited for it. Then I hadn't heard of this one, but I picked up The Woman in the Purple Skirt by Natsuko Imamura, I think. And this is, there's a woman in a purple skirt and she feels like she's being watched, but this invisible observer isn't a stalker. It's much more complicated than that. I did not look this up. That little bit at the end just grabbed my attention, so I thought I'd buy it. And then another one that I hadn't heard of is She's Always Hungry by Eliza Clark, from the author of Boy Parts, which I don't think I've heard of. I was really taken in by this cover. It really appealed to me, and it is a short story collection. It says, unsettling, revelatory, and laced with her signature dark humour, Eliza Clark's debut short story collection plumbs the depths of the most basic human feeling, hunger. It's blurred by a couple of people that have written books I really like. We've got Claire Coder, who wrote Woman Eating, which I love, and Julia Armfield, which she wrote Eyes in the Sea, which I really liked. But someone called Saba Sams, who I don't know, said 11 surreal, troubling, and frankly gross little worlds. So I thought it sounded cool, so I picked that up too. Two of them I'd never heard of. This was the only one that was on my radar, and honestly, that green, so fluorescent, I love it. The cover really pulled me in, but then it sounds really good. And I just want to know why the person following her is not a stalker. So I'm really intrigued by all three of those things. Jensen, bless him, got his 2 Dogman books very quickly. He knew exactly which ones he wanted, and then just kind of had to trail me around the store as I was looking at each bookcase. So I checked out the manga section, and then I checked out the entire fiction section, which is where I found those. I didn't spend much time in the sci-fi fantasy section because it's just not my vibe anymore, but I headed over there first because that's where the horror was. I think my Waterstones got rid of all the horror. There doesn't seem to be a horror section. Like, I couldn't find Frankenstein or anything. The only 2 books that I found that I would say would fit horror was I found Black Sheep by Rachel Harrison, which obviously I already have read and loved, and the same with Witchcraft for Wayward Girls, which obviously was my favourite book of last year. And that was really the only 2. I lie, they had a special edition of House of Leaves, which I did have a flick through, but aside from being a hardback, was not really any different to the one I had, and I don't need another version of that. I don't need one. So yeah, that's a bit of a bummer. To be honest, I don't really go into town very often anyway. I don't go to Waterstones very often. We specifically went there because I had a voucher. And I was pulling books off that shelf. Like, my £15 voucher was £150. Do you know what I mean? Like, I got 3 books. My voucher did not even cover 2. It's just a shame to know that even the small amount of horror that was there is gone, because it just pushes me back to online shopping all the time. You know, it's very hard for me to shop in my high street because you don't get horror in the works, or hardly ever. Now it's not in my Waterstones, and that's really the only 2 book places in my high street, and nothing that I read is in them anymore, which I get because they're gonna obviously cater to the more popular styles. There's a lot of non-fiction stuff in my Waterstones. There's a pretty good literature section. There's a crime section, sci-fi, fantasy. The manga section has got better, so at least there's that. But I don't buy manga in Waterstones because it's super overpriced. That's why I go to Sci-Fi. So yeah, I was just a little bit bummed about that because I was like, wow. I was glad that at least I'm kind of getting into this more weird literary fiction, because at least I know that I can still find some of that there. Anyway, let me tell you about All You Need Is Kill. I literally finished this right before I came in here to film, and I'm going to give it a 4.5. Now, I gave the manga a 5 stars, and I'm going to explain why this is not quite getting the 5 star. Now, I think that the manga is a fantastic adaptation of this book. It really gets across all of the main plot points, the action points. It's fantastically done, brilliant. In the book, you do get some stuff that I can understand why it doesn't come across into the manga. A lot of kind of like explanation. So you get to know a bit more about the mimics and where they came from, and you also get a better understanding of how Rita, of her backstory a bit more. So a bit more understanding of her backstory and that sort of thing. And also a bit more understanding of the United Defence Force itself, because in my head, when I was reading the manga, I assumed that everybody that was at the base that wasn't part of the American Special Forces was Japanese. Absolutely not the case. I don't know whether it was explained in the manga and I've just forgotten, but the UDF, United Defence Force, is made up of soldiers from all over the world. Because war has been going on for so long, they actually created a new language called Burst, or Burst English, which is a very simplified version where there's like no weird grammar stuff. It's very, very simple. Everybody learns it, and that is how they communicate. Because there was a few times at the beginning where he was like, oh, somebody said something in Japanese, and I hadn't heard Japanese for so long. I was like, but we're at a Japanese base, I don't understand. So when that got explained, I was like, oh, that's really clever, actually, because this is not a war between two countries in our world. This is a war of our world against an invading alien force. So for us to be a united front and have a united language was really, really cool. I really like that aspect of it, and I don't remember that coming across in the manga. I think maybe I knew that Ferrell, the sergeant, was Brazilian or like part Brazilian, but I don't think that the whole language thing had come across, and I found that super interesting. So that I was really happy to see included. I found that absolutely fascinating. It comes back down to yes, the comments on women. Really don't think it was needed. I am giving it a pass because of when it was written in the early 2000s, but it was slightly annoying. And then there was one Native American character in this, or one that we spent a bit of time with, and I don't know, I just don't know how I felt about some of the stuff that was said about her. I'll do a spoiler section just so I can explain, although it's not really like plot relevant, so it's a very small section. But basically she is Native American, and they have a party, and the next morning when something kicks off and she kind of comes to say, hey, this is going on, she is dressed in Native American headdress and has the war paint on, and they almost mock her for it. And they talk about, like, they're like, oh, you're about 200 years late for the powwow, and all this, and then she explains that they forced her to wear this at the party the night before. And I'm like, I don't like any of this. Do you know what I mean? I don't like somebody being forced to do something because it feels like they're mocking her. Like, if she had wanted to go and do that off her own back as part of her culture, fine. But to find out that a group of soldiers basically forced this woman to do it, it feels like they're mocking her. And then these two people and their comments on it, again, it just feels like mockery, and I just didn't love how that came across. So I can't in good conscience give it a 5-star when I have those sorts of niggles about it. I loved everything else about this. I loved obviously the time loop situation. I loved the characters. I really enjoyed how it got across how brutal this would be for soldiers, and like the toll it would take on the world for having been going on for 20 years. But those few things that I've said just makes it lose half a star. I understand it was written in the 2000s. It's why it's not like a full star off, and why I'm not like super angry about it, because unfortunately this sort of thing used to fly in the 2000s for some reason. But reading it now, I'm just like, I can't. Even though I really enjoyed it and I thought it was really well written, a 4.5 I think is fair. For someone that said this was going to be a super short update, I sure have been talking a long time. I'm so tired. Let's pick my next read. I'm going to go sleep. Okay. Give it a little shuffle about, and then I'm going to pick... Oh, this one. I dropped it. I don't know if I had two. I dropped them. I don't know if it's this one, but I'm picking this one, and it is, ooh, okay, it's The Watchers by M.I. Shine, and this is Sharon's pick, which is this one right here, The Watchers. This has actually been higher on my radar recently because somebody read it. I mean, I assume a lot of people read it. I feel like I saw somebody talking about it, but I can't remember. I'm too tired. I can't remember exactly what they said, but it made me want to read it more. You can't see them, but they can see you. The forest isn't charted on any map. Dark on the brightest day, knotted branches hide its ancient secrets from the sun. There is no place to linger, especially after dark. Mina is taking the country roads to Connemara, I think, an ever-narrowing maze across frost-pocked moor and bog. As the light fades on a leafless December day, her car stutters and the engine dies. Outside, from an unexpected tree line, a scream, no worse, an otherworldly shriek. Mina knows better than to get out of the car, but of course she will. That sounds really good. I think this was, again, an Abominable Book Club book, I want to say. I've had it a while, I know that. This came out in 2021. Have I had it that long? I think so. Have I been getting Abominable Book Club that long? Maybe. I mean, this has like sprayed edges and everything. I'm sure I got it in a Abominable Book Club. I'm sure. Anyway, this is a perfect pick because I'm super in the mood for something like this. So I will go and read this and update you when I'm halfway through. I feel like this is going to be a bit of a lackluster update. I had a bit of a day. So obviously yesterday we had a lovely day out, me and Jay. And then this morning I was rudely catapulted out of bed by Jensen announcing that he had been sick. It's the first day of half term, the first day of his holiday. I have a super busy week. We've got people coming over from our Netherlands office and they arrive tomorrow, and there is like a workshop on Wednesday afternoon and then a whole day of workshops in a nearby like city, I guess you'd call it, about an hour from where I live, on Thursday. So it's a really busy week, and I now can't go into the office tomorrow, so I was supposed to go on a tour of the R&D office with the R&D department, sorry, with the girls in the Netherlands and my manager tomorrow, but I can't really go into the office just in case I have picked it up or I'm carrying it, so I need to stay out for at least 24 hours. And it's just been stressful because Danny was working last night, so as much as he tried to stay awake, he needed to sleep. He had to sleep. So I was luckily already working from home today, so I could kind of go back and forth and work really understanding about it. But it's just been a day. Like, I ended up staying logged on for almost an hour past my close off time because I just felt like I'd been so in and out all day. I hadn't really achieved anything, and so I just feel floopy, as Phoebe would say. Amongst all of that, I did listen to like the first half of this, and I'm enjoying it. I don't know whether it's because my day has just been way more stressful than I planned, or than I expected, but it's not like pulling me in as much as I was expecting it to. It started to, but what is it, 162 pages in, and I just feel like the pace is quite slow. I feel like the things that it was telling me in that first half, I probably could have done with a little bit less of that, because it's basically this woman and her car breaks down in the woods, and she is trying to go for help because her phone's got no battery and all of this, and she ends up finding these people who are really panicked that she's kind of outside, and they take her into this what I guess would be like a not really like a compound, a building, and it's all very weird. Like, it says don't leave while the light is on, like you can only leave during daylight, and as soon as the light inside comes on, they lock all the doors, and then all of the windows become mirrored so they can't see out, but the idea is that there is something that can see in. And there's been a few little lore drops about what these creatures are and what they look like, and now that we're getting into that, I'm enjoying it more. But it felt like it maybe took a bit longer than we needed to get to this point. But I do acknowledge that I've been very stressed today while I listened to it. It's been very disrupted. I've had a few Teams calls, like some training and some meetings. So obviously I was in and out of that, but also I've been in and out of the room to sort out Jay, and just in general, I'm all over the place. I mean, look at me. I've given up. Frankly, I've given up. I was going to try and rush and do a tag video for tomorrow because I realised, I can't remember if I already said this, so apologies if I'm repeating myself, but I realised that I didn't film one over the weekend like I was supposed to, and I was going to try and do it today, and honestly, I'm just not going to do that. I decided to just be kind to myself, and I'm going to miss an upload. It is what it is. Worst things happen at sea. I just can't do it. And in a way, I'm kind of glad that I've got the audiobook for this now, because I feel like tonight, if I can, I'm going to try and have a bath and maybe then just listen to the audiobook. I could potentially finish this in one day because I only have 2 hours left of the audiobook, which I'd like, to be honest, because I feel like if I can just lay there and listen to the rest of this in one go, I think it will improve my enjoyment of it, if I can focus on it a bit better. And I'm excited to pull the next book. And this is how I feel when I'm doing these Roadhouser vlogs, is I get so excited about picking the next book. And it doesn't mean that I'm not enjoying the one I'm reading. I'm just like, I'm so excited to find out what's going to be next. So I think I'm just going to go and lie down and listen to a bit more of this before dinner. Danny's done chicken casserole, I think, with like carrots and green beans and dumplings. So I will eat that and then see whether anybody in my house has any objections to me going and have a soak in the bath, because I need it. I don't know why I found today so stressful, but I have. I think as well, it doesn't help that you feel so helpless when your child is poorly. Like, there's absolutely nothing I can do. It's a bug. It's going to sort itself out. I can do nothing about this. I can make sure that he doesn't eat anything until he's ready, and then he only eats the right things. I can make sure that he just takes little sips of water, and that he has Calpol, and that he's comfortable and cool, and you know, that's all I can do. Those. It's been a few hours since we last spoke, and I'm feeling quite a bit better. I had a nice soak in the bath, and I finished the watches, which I'm going to tell you about, and I just chilled. So we had dinner. I watched Richard Osman House of Games on BBC iPlayer because I'd missed it. I love that show. And I'm really good at it. Not to toot my own horn, but I'm really good at it. Like, I mean, as long as it's not like anything to do with years or where you have to estimate, like no numbers. I appreciate the irony because I work with numbers, but I don't like guessing. There was a question and it was like, how many bricks were used to build Battersea Power Station? I was like, well, one, I have no idea how big Battersea Power Station is, and two, I don't know how many bricks would be used in a normal house. So I guess something like this is really embarrassing. I guess something like 11,000, and it was like over 1 million or something crazy. Yeah, so I'm not very good at that round, but answer smash I'm really good at, and the rhyming one I'm really good at. So I've both tooted my horn and told you my failings House of Games wise. And then, like I said, I went and soaked in the bath and listened to like the last hour of the audiobook, and that was quite tense. Not because of the book, unfortunately, but because of wearing earphones in the bath. Like, I was sure that one was going to fall out or that I was going to forget and put my head underwater, but don't worry, they survived. All is well. Let me tell you about the book. I am going to give this a 3.5. Yeah, a 3.5. I feel like the premise of this was really good. The story had so much potential. I just didn't like the execution. I don't think that the atmosphere ever really hit me. I was expecting this to be super creepy, and I just felt like we were plodding along. Now, I appreciate that, like I said in my first update, I was quite distracted today. But for the second half of this book, I literally just laid there and listened. Like, yes, I was playing games on my phone, but that's different. Like, I wasn't reading anything else. Like, I wasn't talking to anyone. I was just listening to it whilst I mindlessly played games on my phone. And I just didn't get that creepy vibe that I was after. I found the pacing really slow, and we got to a certain point and I was like, we still have an hour left of this audiobook sped up, and I just don't know that there's enough story to tell. And because it's so slow paced, because it just seemed to take so long to get there, I figured out what I guess was the twist quite a bit before it happened, before it was revealed. So then when it was revealed, the impact just wasn't really there. And I just feel like the atmosphere got lost because of the slow pacing. Slow pacing can work for me, but for this it didn't. I really wanted it to be more tense than it was. I do know that this was made into a film like last year, I think, with Dakota Fanning in. So I thought, oh, maybe the film is better. I looked it up and on IMDb it's like 5.7. I think I'm still going to give it a go because I feel like maybe I'll get more tension from the movie. I do find movies more tense anyway. I've said this before, it tends to be because of the music and things like that. So maybe I'll get the tension that I wanted from the book. I know that 5.7 isn't a great rating, but I'll be honest, quite a few of my favourite films that I've watched a ridiculous amount of times has a similar rating. For example, Doom, which I believe is like a 5.4 or something, and Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters is a whole 6.1. So I will not be taking any questions. Okay. I do appreciate the irony of being a film and TV production degree holder, and if you ask me my favourite films, Doom is one of the first things I say. And I know that it's not a good movie, but I love it. Doom, Hansel and Gretel. I feel like 28 Days Later kind of redeems me because that's very well loved. I also love The Departed, and that's a great movie. So I do like good movies too. But I just really love Doom. I actually don't want to admit how many times I've watched that movie. It's like a comfort film. I've watched it so many times. It's like Friends for me, where I just say the script along with it. So it's not a film that I can watch with Danny. So not that he wants to watch it anyway. Now I really want to watch Doom. So yes, not necessarily the win that we were after. I don't think a 3.5 is a bad rating. It was good. I thought that the plot was good. But I just didn't get the atmosphere that I was after. It was just, I didn't vibe with the pacing. Oh, and also she has this parrot, and the entire time she calls it the other one or the yellow one, and it was so irritating. She's like, oh, I can hear the yellow one. There's only one parrot. Just call it a parrot. If you don't want to give it an actual name, just say, I can hear the parrot. Not, I can hear the yellow one. There's only one parrot. It was just really irritating. I've just noticed that in my hasty setup for this update, I've not even opened the tripod the whole way. So, if you're wonky, we know why. Let's pick book 3, shall we? And then I think I'm just going to go to bed. Jesus. Okay. Let's go with this one. And it is... I can't open it. Ooh, Stillhouse Lake by Rachel Kane. This is one of Becca's picks. This is on my Kindle, I believe. This has been on my Kindle for a hot minute. It's been on there a while. I can't even remember exactly what it is, but I read 2 books. I was going to say I read the Honor series, but I only read 2 books of it, which is by Rachel Kane and Anne Aguirre, I believe. I'm not sure how to pronounce Anne's surname. And then I saw Stillhouse Lake and it sounded good, so I got it on my Kindle, and then I promptly forgot about it, as I do for everything that's on my Kindle. So let's see what this is about. Gina Royal is the definition of average, a shy Midwestern housewife with a happy marriage and 2 adorable children. But when a car accident reveals her husband's secret life as a serial killer, she must remake herself as Gwen Proctor, the ultimate warrior mum. With her ex now in prison, Gwen has finally found refuge in a new home on remote Stillhouse Lake. Though still the target of stalkers and internet trolls who think she had something to do with her husband's crimes, Gwen dares to think her kids can finally grow up in peace. But just when she's starting to feel at ease in her new identity, a body turns up in the lake, and threatening letters start arriving from an all too familiar address. Gwen Proctor must keep friends close and enemies at bay to avoid being exposed, or watch her kids fall victim to a killer who takes pleasure in tormenting her. One thing is, she's learned how to fight evil, and she'll never stop. That sounds so good. Why haven't I read this yet? Because it was on my Kindle, and I forget about everything that's on my Kindle. I know I just said that I was going to go to bed, but maybe I'll go and read this in bed, because it's on my Kindle, so I won't wake Danny up. Maybe, I mean, it is 11 o'clock. I could just, like, get a chapter in or something. I just turned the camera off and then realised that that means I picked Mama Fowl and then Becca Fowl, one after the other. Imagine if one of their other books, imagine if Ashes comes out next. It's like a reunion. I'm just finishing my lunch break, but I wanted just to pop in and give you an update on Stillhouse Lake, because I am now halfway through this. I know I joked like, oh, I'm gonna go and like read the first chapter, and I ended up reading 15%, which was the prologue in the first chapter. So the chapters are not short. I was already so hooked by the time I went to bed. Like, the setup was so good. The prologue is all about what kind of happened when her husband first got found out, and it's just like horrendous. It's really horrendous. Like, this poor woman, obviously the poor victims as well, but like, this poor woman has no idea what's happening, gets lumped in with her serial killer husband, and the way it goes down, it's just like, knowing that she doesn't know anything about it, it's just really horrible. So I really wanted to continue, so I decided to get the audiobook so I could listen at work, because I was like, I need to know. I can't wait until tonight to continue it. So I've already listened to like the first half, as I said, and I'm enjoying this so much. Like, the writing style is so good, which I didn't expect anything less, because I love the writing in the Honor series, and obviously Rach K is part of that. I feel like the plot has slowly been evolving, and there's been like some big events, but it's kind of like this woman trying to protect her kids and trying to do the right thing by her kids all the time, and learning from her own past mistakes. The kids are great too, because obviously they've been through a lot, and they're just trying their best to be kids, but also kind of stick with their mum's rules and do the right thing by their mum and protect themselves. And each of them has very like defined personalities, which I enjoy. I really relate to the little kid, because the little boy, the younger boy, obviously they're not little anymore, but like the youngest boy, because he's like a nerd. And I actually highlighted a quote because it was really good. I don't know how to find it on my Kindle. Great timing, plane, thank you. No, seriously, come lower. But it was basically her saying that he was like the best kind of nerd, because he's the one that gets like really passionate, and I was like, relatable, we love to see it. And she really like fosters the personalities of her kids, if that makes sense. Like, even though they have to keep running, she's trying to get them to be kids and like find their passions and find themselves, and it's really lovely. And then obviously someone's murdered, which is where we are. And the bit that literally just happened, wow. So I'll put spoilers. The bit that I just read is basically she goes to visit her ex-husband in prison, and he is so sinister. Like, just the mask is completely gone now that he's been found out. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's been I think 4 years since he was found out. The mask is gone, and he is creepy and sinister and just evil. The things that he says just really demonstrate that he does not really care about his kids, and that he never really loved her. It's all just kind of like a facade. And yeah, she stood her ground though. I was proud of her. I really like her as a character. I think that our main character, Gwen, is so strong, but she's also got this really loving soft side to her, and it's so nice to see her be able to be like both, because she wants to do right by her kids. She wants them to have a life, but she also needs to protect them, and it's like trying to find that line. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it, and I don't know how long I've got of the audiobook. Oh. I was like, where's my phone so I can check the audiobook? You're on it. I think I've got like 2 hours left, so I should be able to finish it before the end of work, because I don't have any meetings. I'm doing a lot of admin-y stuff, so I can put my headphones on and do it, and then I should probably edit tonight. I really want to pick book 4 because I wanted to do at least 4 books, but it is only Tuesday. No, it's Tuesday, and this is supposed to go up on Friday, but I might push it to Saturday because I'm having a good time. So I'll do at least 1 more book, I think, but I should probably edit to get ahead. But that's for later. Now I need to go back to work, so I'll see you after. I just finished Still House Lake, and I wish that I'd been filming the end, because I was like, okay, I have to go back to work. It's 5 stars, but I'll come back after work and give you a proper update. But that was so good. Okay, I finished work, so now I can give you my proper thoughts on Still House Lake. I don't read a lot of thrillers. I like the odd one, but this did exactly what I wanted in a thriller, because some of it I could work out by myself, and some of it was like red herrings and I didn't figure out. And I like that, because then I feel slightly intelligent, because some of it I was like, called it, knew it, but then it still surprises me. I'm sure there's people out there that read a lot of thrillers that probably guessed everything, but I did not, and I really enjoyed the ride of this book. I spent so much of it being angry on her behalf because people are stupid and people are vile. I don't even really need to give you any spoilers or context for that, because that's just, unfortunately, a fact of life. And there were some things that happened in this that just made me so angry for a fictional character, because she really does go through it, and just people, just in general, made the situation worse just by being dicks. I feel like the end of this book was perfect for me because it was so action-packed. I was like hanging on the narrator's every word. Audiobook was fantastic, by the way. And at the end, it just made me really excited to pick up the next book. I'm going to see if I can get the next one somehow, because I didn't realise I don't actually own this book. I have borrowed it through Prime Reading. So I'm hoping that the second one is also available through Prime Reading. So, I mean, it's been on my Kindle for a really long time, but apparently I'm only borrowing it. I think this series has something like 6 books in it, but I am invested now. I'm invested, and I will be reading book 2. There just isn't anything really that I didn't like about this. I liked the writing, I liked the plot, I liked the characters, I liked the pacing, I liked everything about it. Hence 5 stars. Very happy with this one. Because it's been on my Kindle for a really long time. It's been on my radar for a really long time. And I'm now kicking myself that I didn't read this sooner. But I'm so glad I did read it now, because now I have like a whole series of these to read. And I am terrible at reading series, but I'm going to do my best. Okay, let's pick book number 4. I suspect this will be the final book of the vlog. And we're going to go with... Oh, Jesus, there's stuff everywhere. This one, because this is the one that was in my hand. And it is, oh, The Ha by David Sodergren. This is Vicky's pick. Yes. Okay, good. The Ha. I have been dying to read some more David Sodergren. I have so much of it now. I read Maggie's Grave and really, really enjoyed it. This is a Abominable Book Club book, but I think I bought some or had some gifted to me because I have quite the collection, and I really enjoyed Maggie's Grave and have been dying to pick up more from him, so it's about time. Let's see what this one is. Muriel Macaulay has lived in the Scottish fishing village of Witchhaven all her life. She was born there and she intends to die there. But when an overseas property developer threatens to evict the residents from their homes and raze Witchhaven to the ground in the name of progress, all seems lost, until the day a mysterious fog bank creeps inland. To some it brings redemption, to others it brings only madness and death. What macabre secrets lie within? always struggle with that word. Is it macabre? Is it macabre? Romantic and Deranged, The Heart is a gore-soaked folk horror fairy tale from David Sodergren, author of The Forgotten Island and Maggie's Grave. I've heard really good things about The Heart. Really good things. Oh, I'm excited. I feel like this is going to be a good end to the vlog. It's like 12:30 and Danny's asleep on the other side of that wall, so I have to be quiet, but I'm halfway through The Heart. Tonight has been super productive. Becca was hosting some sprints and I was just in the comments. I edited this vlog up today, so you actually might see it on Friday. Don't hold me to it, but it could happen. I also logged all my February reads for the 2 vlogs that have already gone up, so that was good. And I've read half of The Heart. Oh, the lighting's bad, isn't it? It's because the lights are behind me, but let's be honest, we don't really want to shine too much light on what's going on here. I'll fix it in the morning. This is so good. Like, I forgot how good David Sodergren's writing is. It is fantastic. So the first thing is that she kept mentioning a nearby town, and I was like, that sounds familiar. And then it was referenced in a way, and I was like, that's the town from Maggie's Grave. So they're kind of linked. That was cool. And it's basically this old woman. She's like 84 or something, and she lives in this really tiny little cottage overlooking the sea. She's lived there for a really long time. You know, her husband built the cottage, and you know, she raised her family there and she loves it there. And she lost her husband 12 years ago. So this house is like all she has left of him. He built it, they created a life there. It is all she has left. And there is a guy who reminds me suspiciously of Donald Trump before he was president, okay? Because he's this American billionaire who is buying up the town to make a golf course. If David Sodergren didn't base him on Trump, that is a mighty coincidence. This billionaire guy is basically just trying to bully everyone out of the village. He's offering them loads of money. A lot of the young people have already taken it. There's like 7 people left in the whole village, and they're really going for it. Like, it opens up with this woman that he sent, and she is really trying to bully our main character, Muriel, into selling her house. And it is quite hard to read because there's some bits that happen in this and you're just like, I can't believe that people can be so horrible to each other, especially to what in some cases are quite frail elderly people. They're mentally very strong, but you know, they're quite frail, and they're really it's a lot. It's been a lot. I don't want to go into spoilers, but there was one bit where I literally just had my hand over my mouth the entire time. I know that I've just said like, oh, they're trying to bully him out of the town and stuff, but obviously we know that there is something in the heart, right? I mean, the first line is literally, Muriel Margaret Macaulay was 84 years old the first time she saw a man turned inside out by a sea monster. So that gives you the tone of the book. There's been a couple of things that I've read. I was like, wow, I wasn't expecting that. But one of them, I was like, yeah, deserved. One of them was actually quite heartbreaking to read. Honestly, it was, yeah, it was pretty horrendous. So there has been like some hard moments. I mean, the whole situation is quite difficult to read from anyway, because you're just seeing these people being bullied constantly by someone that has so much power, and it's the corruption of it all as well. It just makes it even worse. And I mean, like, anyone you can think of that this man could have in his back pocket to make life easier for him and harder for the people under his feet, he's got them. Do you know what I mean? Like, it makes me so angry. It's the injustice of it all. And then that's not even getting into like the fact that there's clearly some kind of sea creature involved, and I can promise you there's been some gore. I mean, if that cover didn't tell you there was going to be some gore. But yeah, I mean, it's so well done. Like, the way that it's built up this situation and these characters, and it's really got me on their side, which obviously I would be anyway, but I was so rooting for Muriel right from the start. I love her. I really love her. I mean, I can't think of many books that I've read, especially horror, where the main character is an 84-year-old woman who is just amazing. I love her. Anyway, I am planning on finishing this tomorrow after work, which will be good because if I can finish this tomorrow and edit it tomorrow, then I can go off on my little trip on Thursday. And is it Tuesday still? It is. Oh my gosh. If I finish this book tomorrow and finish editing this vlog tomorrow, I'll go from thinking I was behind to being a day ahead. How did this happen? I'm very out of whack this week anyway, because my office days have changed. Because normally I would be at the office Monday to Wednesday and at home Thursday to Friday, and then I was at home Monday and I'm be home on Friday because I was meant to be in the office Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Then obviously I've had an extra day at home today because of the whole Jensen being ill, not wanting to risk taking anything into the office situation. So I'm just very confused about what day it is, who I am, what we're doing. But at least I'm reading good books. Now, if I recall correctly, when we last spoke, I was being a smug bitch. And I was like, oh my god, I thought I was going to be behind, but I'm totally going to finish like a whole day early. The universe said no. It is now Thursday. Last night, I sat down to finish my book. And Jensen decided he should definitely be sick again. This prompted me to get very, very stressed because I thought, if this is still that bug, how can I go to my work event? However, it was like a one-off thing. He's totally fine, and it would appear to be something he ate. His pizza, which is the same pizza he always has. Anyway, I did finish my book, but by the time I finished it, it was like 12:30 at night. I did not have enough energy to update, and I was like, this is fine. When I get in from my work event tomorrow, I'll film and edit then. When I got in, I was so tired. I didn't nap, but it was a close call. And then we had the rigmarole around bedtime. And this is how I know that Jensen is absolutely fine, by the way, because he was running about, giggling, trying to stay up, back to his usual self. But that means that I then came in here at about 9:15 to film. It is now 5 to 10. 5 to 10. Because I got distracted. So now, even though I am so tired, I refuse to let the universe win. I was super excited that we were back on track and that the video is going up on Friday. So damn it, it's going up tomorrow. So I'm going to tell you about the heart. I'm going to do a quick run through. And then I'm getting on that computer and finishing this editing. And by God, you will see it tomorrow. Anyway, the heart. My rating for this is a 5-star. This was so good. Oh, so good. This is basically a love story. This is about Muriel's love for her husband Billy. It is about how much she loves him and always will, and their relationship. That's what this is about. And along the way, you know, we fight corruption and greedy billionaires, and there's a lot of peen destruction, which is a term that I recently came across and had heard it in reference to David Sodergren novels. Yeah, accurate. It's now one of my favourite terms ever. Speaking of that peen destruction thing, this novel is dedicated to David Sodergren's gran, and Muriel is kind of loosely based on her. Like, a lot of Muriel's life events are from his grandmother. And he has included the memoirs that she wrote. Just a short thing just about her life, and you can then see how it relates to Muriel. And before that, he has done like an afterword, and in it he talks about his gran, and it kind of leads on to the memoirs. So before you read the memoirs, the last bit of the afterword says, I know it would make her immensely proud to think that people from all across the world had read her words, and so I present to you, dear reader, the life of Constant Slatter Jameson, I think. I'm just sorry it had to appear alongside a story in which a boy's penis is dissolved by a sea monster. I do now understand why on the back it says romantic and deranged, because that's exactly what it is. Listen, I loved everything about this. Okay? I loved Muriel as a character. I adored her. She was so kick-ass. She was not taking any shit. She had the limitations of being like in an 84-year-old kind of frail body. I say frail, she was still pretty strong. But like, she did have the limitations, but mentally, she was so strong and she was not going to back down. This was her home, damn it, and she was not going to be forced out of it. And just everything about the creature and the way that she talked about Billy, and like, I loved her remembering back on their life together, and I loved the gore and the violence that came along with it. This has just made me more keen to pick up the other books that I have by David Sodergren, because that's 2 that I've read now and I've enjoyed them both immensely. Like, this was fantastic. Loved it. So let's do a very quick rundown. My least favourite of the vlog was unfortunately The Watchers by A.M. Shine. This was Sharon's pick. On paper, this should have absolutely worked for me. I really liked the premise. In fact, I liked the plot, but I just didn't enjoy the execution as much as I thought I was going to. Then it would be All You Need Is Kill. This was Ray's pick. I think I gave The Watchers 3.5 and this 4.5. Really enjoyed this. I do prefer the manga version, but just for the reasons that I said in my wrap up of this book, I enjoyed the extra information that I got from this. It was definitely worth reading, but if I was going to reread something, it would probably be the manga, but I want to keep this anyway just because I did enjoy it and it's cool, so sue me. And then we have 2 5 stars, so this is a successful video, and I think I'm gonna put Stillhouse Lake by Rachel Kane in second place. This was Becca's pick. I loved this. I had this one through Prime Reading, and the next one is only on Kindle Unlimited, so I ended up buying it because it was like $1.99. So hopefully I'll get to book 2 soon, but this was a perfect thriller for me. It had just the right amount of intrigue, just the right amount of red herrings. I was able to guess some of it totally threw me, and it was a great story and really action packed. I loved it, which means my favourite of the vlog is The Heart by David Sodergren. This was Vicky's pick. Yeah, I mean, this is just my sort of thing. Don't know why I haven't read it sooner, because it's been sat on my shelf for a really long time, and expect to see more David Sodergren very soon, because now I really need to continue his stuff because it's just so good. Reading wise, this has been a good week. Life wise, it's been a bit up and down. So I'm glad to come out with a really positive end to this video. I know that my romance vlog wasn't quite as positive ending as I would have liked, so to end on the 2 5s, I'm very happy with that. Well done, Roadhousers. Thank you to everyone that's put stuff in the jar. Thank you especially to my 4 lovely ladies that picked these ones, and can't wait to do the next one, because I know there's some mega good stuff in that jar, some stuff I'm really excited for. I think I said at the beginning of the video that the Discord is open to everyone, so please feel free to join us, and you can then add to the jar if you wish. It will remain open all the time. I'm trying to keep that spreadsheet updated, so if you're on the Roadhouse Discord and you just haven't put your picks in yet, there's still time, do it whenever, and who knows, maybe you'll come out in the next vlog. If you have any thoughts on the books that I read for this vlog, let me know in the comments below. If you want me to know that you reached the end of this video, you can leave me an eyeball emoji, because that's an eye, or that purple heart is always appreciated. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're not already subscribed and you'd like to see more content from me, remember to hit that button, leave a like if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!